Okay, I think we're good. So we'll give it a few minutes. Hi, everyone. Who's watching? Nobody yet, but that's okay. You're not putting makeup on.
I know. I got my makeup on right before. I work right up to the edge, and then,
You like living on the cutting edge, apparently. When it comes to the groomers here.
I will groom to the end of the day if need be. Yeah.
It's hard coming in off the floor. We're sweaty, we're gross, we're nasty. It's a little bit you're even because it's 7:30 for me, so what, 6:30 for you? 4:30 for Michelle. So we'll see. We'll give her a minute because we're missing Michelle.
It would not surprise me. That's 4:30 if she's grooming. That's
I think she's off on Mondays. That's why we chose Monday. Because she's off. Yeah.
Well, let's hope that everything's okay, but not to worry. You guys carried on without me, and I have learned so much from you two, and I feel like I can channel. I'll try to channel Michelle. She's so good.
Yeah. Oh, she's wonderful. Oh, spending the last week with her was absolutely amazing.
She's not
unbelievable.
The smartest people in the industry by a huge amount, but she is so kind, so positive. So, yeah, Michelle Knowles talking about you.
Yeah, she is amazing. So, and she invited Cindy and I.
She's a great teacher too.
She is. Watching her on the floor and classroom and everything. It's just, so she actually, Cindy and I think Cindy's on watching tonight, but we are taking her up on her invite to go to Arizona for a period of time to work down there and train with her on all the therapeutics.
I want to do that.
Okay.
When are
you come with us? You can come with us.
When are you going to do it? Do you know?
Soon. We're looking sooner because it's all fresh in our head from what we just did. So maybe sometime next month or the beginning of August.
All right. Well, are we on? Are we live?
Yes, we are live. We've got just a few more minutes, so we've just been chit-chatting. I think we can get started, and if Michelle joins, we'll pop in. Just a reminder to everybody, hi, who's joined us. Welcome, Dara Forleo, Jennifer Bishop-Jenkins. Hopefully Michelle will meet up with us as well. And to remind you that if you're new to watching our live stream, please click on the user-friendly and allow StreamYard, so that when you comment on our end of the post, we can see. As your hostesses, we can't see all of your names, so we have a hard time sometimes responding back, because it's nice to have a name with your comments, and let us know where you're watching from. We love to hear where you guys are at and where you're from all over the country. So, and we are here today, and we are going to, Michelle actually posted this for us last week. We wanted to talk about dealing with disgruntled customers. And if you're watching on Facebook, and if you're seeing in a lot of these groups, we're seeing the same thing. Oh my gosh, the dogs are coming in, they're pelted, they're a mess, owners are upset. This is for a lot of us, we're getting reviews and feedback that have just been horrendous from customers. And how do you deal with this? What is this doing to your psyche as a groomer that's maybe not ever had to deal with this? You've had a nice clean slate, and all of a sudden, bam, you're getting 1-star reviews. You're getting customers yelling at you in your front station. We have sat one of the poor groomers here in our Seacoast region got yelled at in the front area out on the street by a customer and felt attacked by him. So it's, what do you do? How do we deal with this? So I'm just going to go really quick, Jennifer, and then we can get into our topics. But, as I was thinking about this over the week, and I did some research, as a service provider, we're dealing with 3 types of customers. Customers that should be happy, customers customers that should not be, and customers who are never happy. So those are the three types of customers we're dealing with. How now, some of us, for a disgruntled customer, we think first thing, fire them, get rid of them. They're not worth staying. We don't want to deal with them. And through the research I've been doing, a lot of the information I'm seeing is that a disgruntled customer should actually be considered an opportunity, because a should be happy customer is one who's not giving you the feedback you need to make your business better. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And, we need to learn how to make ourselves better, and by listening to the customers who are taking the opportunity, whether they're upset, is a good time for us to look back and go, what am I doing that's making them upset? And how do I correct it? And if I can correct it with this person, I can correct it on down the road. I'm good. Thanks, honey. Sorry, checking on me. So these disgruntled clients, they're willing to give you, because think about, and I'm going to use this as a terminal really quick and say, we went away this weekend. It was wonderful. At first time, we just went a couple hours to the White Mountains to a really nice resort that in probably better times we might not really be able to afford, but they're back on their feet. And so my expectations of this particular facility was extremely high, because I'm looking at their reviews, I'm looking at this resort and going, right on, I can finally afford this place. For me, right? And I set myself up for disappointment, because not taking into consideration what they're going through for their steps to reopen, and almost set myself up to have a really bad experience there, and instead sat back and said, this is exactly what's been going on in our shop since we reopened in April. This is a learning experience of how do I get to make this better now? So that's just my little take on that. And so Jennifer, sorry, now I'm getting a little off.
I mean, I definitely have very strong feelings on this issue of a disgruntled clients, and I have some really great stories. And I'm sure, like everybody listening and like all of you, that it is that you'll see the gamut. And I like your three categories: customers that should be happy, meaning that we've done a good job and they should appreciate it. Or, hey, Michelle.
Hi, Michelle, you're on.
So we have just finished the three. I haven't even got to comment yet, so I was just commenting on Dara's wonderful introduction of three ideas: customers that should be happy, customers that should not be happy because we have messed up and we have honestly reported that to them, or they have reported it to us and we haven't denied it or whatever. And then the third category is customers that are never happy. So what I was going to say about that, about all three categories, the first thing to say about disgruntled clients that I think is absolutely essential is that almost everything that you can do to ameliorate the problem, improve the problem of disgruntled clients, which are going to happen. It's going to happen because humans are humans and animals are animals, and these are inexact things, and this is art as much as science, and sometimes there are factors that happen that nobody can control. So you know that going into this, there's going to be disgruntled clients, because we're not like cranking out robotic machines here. We're live people working with live animals. That said, if you just do the advance work, the work ahead of time, you can make it so that almost nobody has a problem with disgruntled. And the number one thing you start with is a good contract that is clearly written, clearly defined, and that everybody is forced to stand there in front of you for 10 minutes, in my case, in my shop, and read through and initial sections of, and then sign at the bottom. Otherwise, they don't get to come to you for it. And in that, they acknowledge all the risks of grooming It talks about where most likely.
Oh, we got her freezing up. Oh,
there we go.
Ah.
We're back. Where the most common problems could be, like it's, high odds that you could have a bleeding toenail or something like that. But a good contract and a good upfront conversation with them when they first arrive, it is worth it. You cannot take a new customer in your shop, I think, if you don't block off 15, 20 minutes of time, 10 minutes of which should be like your written contract. And then the other 10 minutes is you're going over the dog and talking about the dog, at least, if not more. And if it's a new puppy, I spend more time than that because I'm training them, all sorts of things. If you spend the time up front and you lay out for them what you can and cannot do, and an intake, even when you do that contract up front that clearly spells out the risks, what is possible, what is not possible. And, I even have some rules. They're not in my contract, but they're in a sign in my lobby that say you're not allowed to bring me a picture of a dog that's not your dog and say, make my dog look like this dog. You're not allowed to do that. That's just...
Yeah. You don't do it to your hairdresser, right?
And, bring a picture of, a model and say, make me look like that person. So good communication up front. If you're very clear with them, this is live animals, this is an inexact science, and you have a little chance to hands-on with the dog and the client still there at the first time, you can check about health issues or behavioral issues. You can ask them the history of the dog. If you do these things and you talk about, well, here's what I can do, here's what I can't do, and if you're upfront about that, then there's much more realistic expectations. I think you can go a long way to manage the problem.
I'm just going to show Catherine. Thank you. I love this.
Yes.
She does a consultation before a full grooming session and charge for it. That's fantastic. I'd like to know more about that and how you do that. Maybe if you guys are good, can we invite Catherine to come on for a minute and tell her way how she does it instead of having to type it out?
I definitely recommend her. She is on the board of directors of my Illinois Professional Pet Groomers, Cat Smart. She's a master groomer. She's got microbubble. She's big skin and coat. She's super careful, health expert, immaculate shop, totally creative. I love Cat. She's a brilliant voice in our industry.
Let me see. How can I'm trying to look to see how I can add her on here.
Kat, how much do you charge? Can you put that into your comment section for your consult sessions? And Michelle, do you require like this meeting up front and signed contract and everything too?
Can you actually hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, perfect. This is a whole new setup, so I'm just testing things out. So
it sounds really good.
Oh, good. I don't charge separate. Like I don't say, okay, the consultation is this or blah blah blah.
I don't charge for my consultation.
I charge for my groom appropriately, and it includes all those services. I want them to be very happy. I have a policy, if you will. I don't call it a policy because I want them to be a family member. So I'm like, hey, in a week, if you're not happy and you think you see something that you want trimmed up or make a note of for next time, I said I need all those notes so that we can dial in Fluffy's haircut just the way you want it. So I do allow them a little bit of time, especially if we're trying something new, because I always make somebody try a longer trim. Always. And they're like, I'm just like, live with it. You might love it. You might love the legs better, or you might love the face better.
Yeah. So
just, I invite them to try, and then I do invite them to come back if they need something retrimmed.
And Kat has two charges, 25 to 50 for the first consult. The more they talk, the more she charges. I love that.
That's great. That's a.
I'm with you, Michelle. I do. I consider that part of my pricing. Yeah. And I do.
But I know a lot of salons though charge per hour. They are really strict on their hourly because they know their hourly costs. So that's how they work out their profit margin and whatever. So I mean that's perfectly fine. Charge for your time. If they take up your time, charge for it. If that's how you charge, it's perfectly. Yeah, that's a good way
And
of
so
doing
I
it.
think that if you are honest up front about what you can and cannot do, then the disgruntled part at the end is either going to be some error or mistake that happened during the grooming process, or they're going to just be irrationally mean and bad for no earthly reason, which I've actually had happen as well. And the only time that I have ever fired a client, and I don't fire clients, I always have a policy that if anybody's just not happy with a groom one time for whatever, like they just didn't like it, if they can make a case that they just didn't like the groom, they get a free repeat. I never refund money, never. But I will give them a free repeat if they're just not happy for a reason that I think that they can well articulate. And after that, but then I keep track of that because I don't want them to abuse that privilege. The only time I've ever fired a client was when they got verbally abusive to my staff and they were just being clearly irrational, like there was no foundation for what they were saying or doing. And I have to say, being in a very wealthier, high-end suburb that as my shop is, occasionally you do get these very entitled people that, and it's very rare. Most of my clients, I mean, 99.9% of them are wonderful, kind, caring, appreciative, cooperative, good partners in the process of caring for their pets. Well, they want to know what we know, and they want to follow our advice. They're good people. But every so often you get somebody who's just got, who's used to ordering people around, I guess, and who's used to being disrespectful to people that work for them. And those are I've only done it twice, but I have fired 2 people for that.
Oh, I've fired many a client. I'm very used to working with the high end clientele. Those are my people, and they do need their pampering. But I do insist on mutual respect. I do insist on mutual respect as a person, and as I am the professional, I do have the final say in what shampoo is used. What's going to happen with the animal. I am the final say on that.
Yes.
Because I have the establishment, I have the liability, and I don't want my girls, suffering for something that they could have easily have just refused.
Yeah.
So I recently had to criminally trespass one of my clients. And
that happened right before she came up.
Yeah, that was.
Meaning that you called the police on her for trespassing?
Him, yes.
Oh, him, yes.
Yes.
And because you asked him to leave and he did not leave.
Oh, multiple times over a period of 2 days.
Wow.
He wanted a refund. He wasn't going to accept anything but a refund. And I said, sir, I have an overhead. My stylist did a wonderful job on your animal. And he was like, well, I don't like it. I just need my money back. I'm like, services are rendered. If you don't like it, I understand that. I can retrim it in the back. It was a lion trim. And I remember saying, and the cat became fractious. It became too stressed out. So we had to stop. And he said, oh, so you're just not letting the cat decide when it gets groomed and when it doesn't. I said,
that is the truth with cats. I say every cat customer. With dogs, I can generally control it, but with cats, when the cat says the groom is done, the groom is done.
It's
until
over.
Tomorrow, we can take it back up tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I had him bring the cat in because I didn't see it. And if I would have seen just a crappy groom, this cat was wonderfully done. Yeah, the ruff was a little big. The boots were not blended, neither was the tail, but the clipper work was immaculate. The cat was fresh and clean smelling. There was no extra hair coming off of it, well combed out. I'm like, this animal has been well groomed in spite of the fact that it was fractious. And I'm like, sir, I don't know what to do with you. I said, if you would like your money back, you have to take us to small claims court where we can both present our case to a judge. That's the process. And he's like, oh, no, you need to get the authorities here right now. I said, I would be glad to get the authorities here. So I had Cordelia, my receptionist, call. And he was nasty to the officers. He thought that they had the authority to just make me give him money back or something.
My God,
I'm like, that is not how it works. So he was bye-bye. What in the world? And I mean, among many expletives, and you must be stupid. You don't know what you're doing, and blah blah blah. I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Oh, Catherine says,
So that's pretty much, I think, does that answer your question about what that criminal trespass is? Is that basically they're coming back at you?
Criminal trespass is when you call the police there and you say, I have officially asked this client to leave my premises, and they will not. So then it's called criminal trespass. If for a year, it goes on their permanent police record. It is a charge against their record.
Good.
Their legal record.
Yeah.
And they cannot come within 20 feet of your premises for a year. And if they do, they will arrest them. And it's a certain amount of time in jail. No question, because it is I who say who can be on my premises or not.
Right.
So.
And if you have that person then go online and leave a horrible review, what I do anytime I've ever had a bad review online, and there, and occasionally, I mean, I got a ton of good ones, but and I ask them, here's the deal. Every time somebody gives me a compliment, I say, may I ask, oh, that was so lovely of you. Thank you so much. We're so glad to hear that. Would you do me a huge favor? Would you please post that on Facebook, Yelp, or Google reviews? Because it's really important that they stay kind of current, if they're 6 years old, they don't really show up. I've been told by the tech gurus that you got to have them every 6 months. You got to keep them fresh. You got to get new ones constantly. So I always ask anybody that pays a compliment, and then I tell them why and how, as a whole, small business owner, family-owned business, that it's a really important thing for us to keep those online reviews positive and available, new and fresh. And people get it, and they're really willing to help. So that's really nice. If somebody's going to pay you a compliment, ask for that review. And if somebody leaves a negative review, I never fail to respond. I never just leave it stand.
Oh, see, I'm just the opposite. Especially when it's really nasty, I just leave it hanging there, because this young man did indeed put a Google review on. You can check it out, Coats and Tails. Yeah. But anyway, he tells on himself. He says, oh, I went there and blah, 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 and they were so unreasonable. And I got the cops called on me, and then I got trespassed. Well, you know what? If you say that in a review, if I read that tells, he's telling on himself.
I would have left that one alone too.
Anybody who wants to come to my salon and talk to me about something they saw about me professionally, I will be glad to say my story. But he is not going to draw me into some dramatic exchange. I'm not doing it. He is a non-entity as far as I'm concerned, and he can go on his merry way.
I would have somebody else really quick. Somebody else just posted that they have a disorderly person in their establishment.
Yeah.
What does that entail? And I'm sorry, we don't know your name.
Yeah, you didn't say you're a Facebook user. Whoever said I have a disorderly person in my establishment. You're a Facebook user to us. But anyway,
bad reviews always show their own colors. Yeah, that is true. I'm looking at I just got one, and it was like a slap in the face. Oh my gosh. And it's so crazy how distorted people get when in their heads, when they feel like, well, that's not what happened. Oh, that's Angie. Of course it's Angie. We should have known.
I have a disorderly person in my establishment. That's what you say when you call the police. That's what she's telling you.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But I would say that when I do respond to online negative reviews, it's when they just lie. And they make it sound like, this bad thing has happened, and they're just lying. For example, I had one very early on in my shop career about 5 years ago that it was a walk-in nail clip. And back then, I didn't require walk-in nails to do shop records, contracts, anything. Now I do. And she came in and just dropped in with the Labrador and said that she even said she'd had problems getting the nails done. She couldn't do them herself, and her vet's too expensive. So she came to us and we did the labs nails, and we have a very transparent shop. Like you can stand in the lobby of my shop and you can see all the way back. There's a glass door into the grooming room, and then there's another glass door into the bathing room. Can't really see the bathing room, but you can see the grooming room very well. And she watched as this dog kicked and struggled and fought, and we had 2 people holding, and the nails were clipped, and there weren't even bleeders, and they did a good job, but the dog struggled the whole time. And then she goes online afterwards and says that we were like abusive to her dog and we were fighting with her dog. Quite the contrary, lady. We were holding your badly behaved dog that you said was badly behaved when you came in. Yeah. We were holding them for safety while they were kicking and potentially injuring our staff. And so that's the kind of thing I'm going to go on to the online review, and I'm going to correct that. And then I get a lot of people that, show appreciation for, oh yeah, clearly this lady, was nuts. But if they're misperforming, if they're lying, if they're misrepresenting, I think that it is appropriate to speak out. Yeah. I don't think you should let a bad review stand. And especially if you can make them look like idiots.
As long as they're making themselves look like idiots, I just let it ride. And then another one I got called Dragon Lady and Captain Bligh, all in the same paragraph, which I'm going to have a special jacket made with those on there. So
I love the name. Oh, well, that's a great. Yeah, sorry, I'm cutting in only because another Facebook username, just showed. This is why everyone should have cameras. You can post the video clips. Yes, I go back and forth about posting that. And we do have cameras, and you have to be really careful about how your cameras are, because you have to have it posted if you are videoing, not just video, but audio as well. And that, I think, is what's important in our shops, is that we also need to have that audio recording, because video shows something, doesn't necessarily. When we had this client that was checking in and got upset with us over the groom, the check-in period was so lengthy, and in it, the words were, your dogs have to be shaved. They're matted and corded and they're in bad shape. And she goes, yeah, I know. And then came back to us saying, I never agreed to that. And it's like,
yes, you did.
Yes, you did.
Well, one thing I want to interject is there is no expectation of privacy in a public lobby. So you may record audio, video away. You don't have to have any special dispensation other than the Constitution of the United States. You have no expectation of privacy in a public space.
Well, we posted it. You saw it on our front door. It's posted on all our windows. Yeah, you come into our establishment, we are videotaping and audio taping as well.
Yeah. I don't videotape, and I suppose we should update our system, because that's a really good idea to audio tape.
Yeah.
All it takes is if you have a computer at your desk to take in, just turn a little camera around, put a little webcam on there and turn it around that records audio and video, and then you have the receptionist press a button if stuff should go wrong. That's all you have to do. It's that simple, and you just keep it on your computer in a file, say security files, and label it that day or whatever.
Mm-hmm. So you just do that with one of those little, those little portable cameras. Oh, I love
just
that.
A little webcam. You don't even need a security system.
Yeah, I have a home security system, but maybe that would be a great second edition just for, And the Nancy has said, what about having them sign a contract saying that their dog needs to be shaved? Yeah. First of all, hopefully you won't just shave everything, because, take the 15 coat types and take Michelle's and my Seminoles and find out why you shouldn't just shave anybody, even if they're solid mats. You can get them out. You just have to, use the close, open, close method and get them preconditioned, and you have to use your HV dryer and do a little work. At least try to leave them a quarter to a half inch, because don't use anything shorter than a 4-blade or a half inch, because you really want to make sure that they still have hair to protect their Langerhans cells in their skin. If you just shave everything like, 7-blade, 10-blade stuff, that you are actually potentially killing their immune system. So you don't want to just shave dogs. But if it's really, really, really matted, I mean, there should absolutely be a higher risk of injury if your dog comes in very matted. Absolutely. Contract. Yeah.
Yes, for those cases that you absolutely have to shave down, and there are for
There
very many
absolutely are.
reasons.
Sure.
If they're geriatric, if it is too tight, if it's a young dog that's very matted, you don't want to
Yeah.
just ruin their mind to
Right.
grooming.
Yeah.
You just do what you got to do. Absolutely. Just even say, I understand that my dog is being shaved today because he's very matted. You can even type it out just like that and have you sign it, them sign it, bam, and it's done. It doesn't have to be fancy. They just have to agree to it with their signature. Yeah. It's an absolutely good idea to have that.
Yeah.
That waiver. Mm-hmm.
What is a Nest camera, Kat? Kat Samard says she uses
Yes,
Nest
that's
camera.
what I use also. I was gonna say that that's great. It's Google. It hooks right to, so I've got it on my phone. It comes on all my computers. And it's just a little tiny camera. You can get them at Lowe's. You can get them at Home Depot. Order them on Amazon, and you pay for your monthly subscription. We've got 3 active cameras, and I just put another one on order for, actually I'm going to put 2, add another one. So I'll have a total of 5 in the shop. So we'll have one in the cat room, in our feline grooming area that we just made, which is absolutely gorgeous. And towards my office in our classroom area, so that all of that is recorded as well. So we've got one that can see the entire grooming area, the entire reception area, and our bathing area and everything in it, so that everything's recorded. And that's really to protect the students. Yeah, Nancy's not a groomer. I love that. You aren't, but you know a lot about it, Nancy. And Nancy actually visited the school last summer too, when she was on her trip to Maine. Oh, hey, Mindy's on there too.
And she says, why is it great cameras? And Kat says it saves up to 7 days online that you can record it. That's a great thing to know. I'm going to try those.
Kat, I'm going to have you change that. Bite the bullet. I just purchased the Save for 60 days because that's what's gotten me, because you can't save the clips and they don't hold them after 7 days. So if you have a customer that comes back after that 7-day period, you don't have access to those records anymore. So I bet it's expensive, but totally worth to have that 60-day guarantee to save it.
And that's on the Nest system? That's on the Nest system?
Yeah. And it's not that bad. I mean, there's a lot more expensive ones out there, but and everything else I have is Google. I'm like, well, might as well stick with it. It just, everything communicates together. So that's what we've done. So while we're kind of getting, she said no to 60 days after. Okay, very good. Fair enough. You're gonna say something, but it'll come back and bite you. It did me, so I got that.
Kat Samard is saying that after 7 days, they can kiss her butt. Yeah. If anybody wants the free repeat, they have to. This is in their signed contract at the very beginning. When they're new clients, they have to agree to this. That if they have a complaint about the groom itself, it has to be within 24 hours, or they get the free repeat.
Mm. Yeah. Very good. That is a good idea. So really quick, while we're kind of coming to this, I see a lot of those times people are going, hey, who's your worst customer? Who's your worst customer? And I sat down and thought about it, and I was like, personally, your worst customer is the customer who comes in and leaves, and you don't know why they don't come back.
Right.
That's your worst customer, because you don't know what you did. How can you fix? I'm constantly saying this to everybody in the shop. How can I fix it if I don't know it's a problem? Because it might not be an issue for me, but if there's something wrong or something bothering you, I can't fix it if I don't know. So if your customers aren't telling you and giving you constructive feedback on what's going on, how do you grow? How do you learn from those mistakes? Because we can only plateau for so long. And where do you want to be? I mean, if that plateau is where you want to stay, great. That's great. Kat said hairdressers and vets are the worst. I will tell you, hairdressers are very hard to please.
Yeah. I wanted to say hi to Jessica Dorsey.
She's are tough. Yes.
She's one of mine. I love her. I honestly think that, I've heard, I'm going to quote very prominent people in the industry, Lynn Easton and Dr. Jim Warner, who run International Professional Groomers. And they say that their business isn't dog grooming. Their business is customer service, and grooming dogs is how they deliver their customer service. In other words, they say that they teach that if you are in business, your business is customer service. So will I go out of my way to be nice, to communicate with clients, to try to accommodate a reasonable request? Yes, and yes. I'm in the business of customer service. But, are there, will I do anything that they ask? No, I have a couple of rules. I will not do anything that's bad for the dog. And I will not do anything that I think makes my business look bad. Like if they come in with some wacky haircut and they want me to do this wacky thing because it's going to be like a joke. Like I've had people say that they wanted to play a prank on a family member or something with a weird haircut. And I've refused to cooperate because I don't want to, I just want to
don't use a live animal for that.
Yes.
That's very compromising of my ethics.
Yeah.
I do like what Jessica just said too, because I'm going to post it because I think it's funny.
Yeah.
Customers
took your salon for the salon across the street.
Yeah. Well, wrong place.
What just breaks my heart is one of the two customers that I've ever fired in my 6 years in business was one that I had been doing every other Wednesday for 6 straight years. And this beautiful old English sheepdog, Maisie, and I love her. I love the dog. I miss her so much. I actually miss her. And, but the mom was so mean and unappreciative. I taxied her dog to and from outside my normal area while I could for the first several years. Never got a tip. She in 6 years has never tipped me once, not even at the holidays, not even when asked at the holidays. And then, to have her be so constantly critical of, she'll deliver the dog in bad shape and then not want to pay for it. And I know she's got money. She's got plenty of money. Yeah. And she just argues about every little penny. And when she delivers me, she wants to keep the dog long. The dog is older. She wants to keep Maisie in a longer cut. She's an old English sheepdog who's now much older, mats more easily, is laying down more, went through the pandemic with not as frequent grooming and didn't want to pay for any of the demanding. And I finally just had it with her picking at me about everything and being like taking time on the phone and being demanding and never, ever, ever tipping. And I love the dog so much. And it broke my heart to say, I'm sorry, but you are just, as a client, you are just too hard to deal with. I just don't have time for you. And I don't have negative brain space for you. And that was sad because I love the dog.
Jennifer, do you just want to go sometimes? Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am?
Meaning that, good luck finding somebody better. Sure.
I just tell them that I can no longer meet their requirements, and that and then I give them a list of all I keep a list of all the groom shops in our area, and I'm like, I am so sorry, but I don't think that we can accommodate your needs anymore. And then I give them this, and I'm like, good luck in the future, and please keep in touch.
You're classic.
He is. I know. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So is the customer always right? I mean, that's kind of like the classic question.
I don't
Is
even put it on them. I don't even put it on them, even though
yeah.
we all know it's them. But I'm like, you know what? The fault lies with me. I can no longer, I can't accommodate you. I'm not skilled enough. Bye-bye now. And that's basically, I just invite them out of my life.
Yeah.
So,
Good.
Yeah.
Kat,
So, and they come in, I think when customers are, you know, I know, and I'll throw back at this past weekend for us, you know, I was getting upset and it's like, what am I going to tell them? And, oh, you know, I'm just like, it wasn't. And then it's like, okay, so, you know, don't react. They're looking for a reaction.
yeah.
They're somebody who's upset and they're looking to pick a fight. Something's upset them around that has just made them, and you're the scapegoat at that moment. And so they're looking for you to react. And in that case, then I kind of step back and go, okay, so how would I feel knowing this? How do you feel? How would I want to be treated in that circumstance? So I don't want somebody who's going to argue with me. I really, I mean, I just want to vent. I just want to be heard. And that something this is bothering me. This is what I didn't like. And instead of hearing, well, you know, and having excuses as to why it wasn't done that way, I think, Michelle, you kind of said this to us this week while you were here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. How can we make this up to you? What can we do? Well, that's, you know, I'm willing to meet you in the middle with this, but I'm sorry this has happened. I apologize. I want to make this better. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. Thank you. It makes it's like, oh, how can you argue with that?
Yeah.
and if you can't argue with that, you probably just need to leave.
Right.
If you can't even hold a conversation with someone, you know.
You know, Kat said a couple of things. She said that owners sometimes they don't know how to tip. And, you know, I know that's true. There's a couple of customers I've had that they just, you know, either maybe a couple of them are seniors on fixed incomes or disabled veterans. I actually have a couple of those where I don't expect a tip. I charge what I need to charge in order to pay my people. And I know that I don't expect everybody to tip. That said, I love what you said, Kat, about owner responsibilities. And that is actually in my contract too. Like, this is the part that I'm in charge of as your groomer, but this is the part you're in charge of. Especially, I actually have a clause because we actually are known at my shop for doing those longer cuts. We're willing to brush out some mats. We're willing to do the fluffy, you know, the bigger, longer cuts. And so we get a lot of clients because of that. And I always will say to them, I will demat your dog one time. Once. And then I will tell you what you need to do to prevent that. Here's the schedule. I'm putting you on this schedule. This is the schedule you will be on. If you want the hair this long, this is your schedule. If you want the hair this long, this is your schedule. And I will tell them, in addition to that, that they have, and I will, you know, make them buy the brush and comb that I sell. That's the good stuff. And I will tell them this is I will show them how to use it. And I will tell them, if you want to keep this long and you want this to be your interval and your grooms, then this is what your obligations and responsibilities are. Otherwise, you know, I'm only going to demat your dog one time. Otherwise, and I have the name of my business is Love for Dogs. And I will always end by saying this because the name of my business is Love for Dogs. It's not torture for dogs.
Yeah.
That is so sweet.
Yeah.
So sweet.
Yeah. Amanda, where are you located? Just interested to see what state you're in or what region you're in.
Amanda says that she has customers that will say they don't tip business owners. And I've heard that once or twice myself. What is that?
I get it all the time in New England.
I get that, you know, that tips are for lower wage employees or something, but understand the service industry, that anything that's physical labor, people they will come in and say, am I supposed to tip a groomer? And
I give our mechanic a tip.
If this
If
is
they
somebody,
detail our cars, we leave a tip.
Mhm.
Southeastern Missouri.
I
Interesting. Yeah.
I know, and I've been in places where countries where they don't tip. That's just part of it. They don't tip.
Mm.
I think that our tipping system was born out of low wage
Low
employees, so
wages.
those people did
That's
that. But
Mostly,
you should not
bartenders, servers in
should
the
not
restaurant
be
industry.
a low wage employee as a groomer. And
Yeah.
I know it's a really unpopular opinion that I have. I don't ever expect a tip. If they tip me a lot, to me in my heart of hearts, the first thing I think is, oh, my prices aren't high enough. Because you should be paid correctly
Yeah.
without one thought of a tip ever again in your
I
whole
agree.
life. That's how you should be pricing out your stuff. That way, if you get a tip, that's because it is above and beyond appreciation of what you've done. That's what a
Yeah.
tip is. It should never be expected. So you should
Yeah.
charge
Yeah.
appropriately.
I don't expect, except when I have to spend extra time, like that one client I just fired. When I have to spend extra time, really a lot of extra time texting back and forth with her on the cell, talking on the phone, listening to her complaints.
That's just when she gets an extra big raise, a lot.
Yeah.
Her price just goes up because she demands more of your time. And
Well, that's
you're in business and you're using your time to make your money to pay your bills.
and when I did raise the price, that's when we got that's when we had a difficult time. But which is
Well, ladies, we've at 45 minutes here. So we've gone over our half hour, but this was a great conversation.
Yeah.
And Jennifer, it's not going to come out right, but
what?
They came.
You got the shirts. Yay!
I'm not sure what size you think we are. These are I couldn't fit into this.
All right, get it back. We're gonna do it again.
I wish I was this tiny, is what I'm saying.
When I ordered the size online that should have worked for the three of us, shirts. I think the shirts themselves run a little small. I've noticed that it's a very, it shows off my figure. I would wear it underneath a jacket.
I'll try it on, Michelle. I'm going to send yours to you. But
okay, and then I promise you, I'll try it on, and then I'll send you the results.
Are we going to do a who wore it better?
Yes.
Oh,
yes. Let's do
next
it.
week. Next week.
If you get yours, we'll take pictures and we'll do a who wore it better.
Love you back, Kat and Amanda.
All right.
And
Great night. I like these topics. What do you want to talk about next week? Something along these lines.
Are we doing Thursday?
No, we were supposed to do this past Thursday, but we got really caught up in classroom and we're just way too absorbed with anything. And we didn't leave the shop until like 6:30 on Thursday night. We were there late. It was phenomenal. Phenomenal.
It was so much fun. It just blew me away. It was so nice.
Yeah.
I am so honored and privileged to be a part of this. It is. It is amazing.
Next Monday night, I would like to visit the question about where we are in the industry as people start up again, reopening, how people are doing things differently, what they think are, like how long they think they're going to change their protocols. That might be a good topic because I think people are still kind of exploring what the protocols should be. And I know there's new information about dogs as dirty surfaces and things like that. So
did you see Barb's live Sunday morning? I kind of caught a little bit of it after Barb Hoover's, and she was talking about kind of what we've been saying. She's like, guys, we're in the limelight. All of this hoorah that we have put, they are looking at us. They are every state is going to be going, what are we missing out on?
What have they been doing all this time? But we haven't.
Yeah, she really did nail it. She talked for about 15 minutes about it and said, "Get your acts together."
I'm telling you, it's coming.
for
I
us.
would like to put a bug in everyone's ear that's listening and that will listen to the recorded version. I kind of want to put out a poll, and maybe Dara can put that out on our page. How many of you would be willing to or consider, or who would you like to guide us in a council? We need an actual national council of pet stylists that help govern and make protocol, handling procedures, and that type of thing. Would you rather be governed in a union like? I'm going to put that very, very loosely with the air quotes because I can't find my camera. There you go. Air quotes. Union like, but some type of a coalition nationally that all groomers are a part of. If you're a professional, you apply for a membership, pay a very small fee just to maintain administrative. And that's where we vote on whether anal glands are an internal organ or not, whether we should be doing teeth brushing under the gum line, things like that are very controversial. Double shaving dogs. This is the council is where you would
Shaving
actually,
double coats.
yeah. What did I don't know what I said, but it doesn't
Double
matter.
shaving.
Yes,
Double shaving.
or even double shaving. That's bad too. But I mean, things of that nature that get decided by a council that's voted by the majority of us. It's a council for us, by us, so we can set our
So
standards.
the comparable example would be like the American Bar Association over lawyers, the AMA over doctors, that kind of thing.
Yes. So in order to move forward and be a correct profession and trade, we have to have this council that sets our standards. And if we don't do it, they're going to do it by state, and they're going to have lawmakers, veterinarians, and people who know nothing about grooming. And this is exactly what they're fighting on the West Coast.
And the East Coast in New Hampshire.
And the East Coast too, legislation's being made that we have no control of. And we really have, the majority of us have to get together and be on this council and say, okay, this is where we're going to set our standards for the industry. And then you vote in the people that you know and believe in and trust, that they're giving scientific information, that they are really weighing in the consequences. And we make a standard of care. That will then lead to the governing of licensing in each state. That way we have a leg to stand on, saying the majority of us agree that X shouldn't happen, or Y shouldn't happen, or this process should happen this way. See what I'm saying? And I just put a bug in everybody's ear. Really think about that, because I'm telling you, we're going to wake up someday soon, and that's going to be in place. And we need to get our thoughts together about it and be a part of it. Because if we're not a part of it, we're just going to be carried away by the wind of others.
Yeah, that's right.
I would prefer not that. I would prefer to keep control
There's
over
a lot of
industry.
there's a lot of good organizations already functioning. There's already standards well written. There's PPGSA, there's IPG, NDGAA, ISCC. There's all sorts of. There's the APPGA that is just kind of a member group at this point, where they're working on benefits, not standards. But there's NAGA, which is helping to ally all state councils. So there's actually some very good, there's some good candidates in there already.
Yeah. NAGA might be a good place to start that, since it's not really an organization, but it's got the core group of
states.
The states, but unanonymous people who are all working towards the same goal already. From all different areas. There's so much diversity in that particular.
Which is why I feel like a council of this nature should be voted in by us, for us, and be comprised of us. Do you know what I mean? Not us three, but I mean of the industry.
Right. Yeah.
If you are an industry and the majority of us vote our council in, then we're going to trust them to make those decisions.
That's going to be a great topic for next week, then.
Yeah.
Is that our topic for next week instead of reopening?
You can do it any way you want. So people chime in on the Facebook page. We'll take Michelle's little poll there.
Michelle, you're an admin. You can make that poll right on the page. So please.
Yeah, our page is, for those of you that don't know, our page is the Pet Pro Educators. That's a Facebook group, the Pet Pro Educators. That's where you can chime in your thoughts in advance of the next show, right?
Yep. All right. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Sorry, we got a little over tonight, but we kind of knew this was going to start happening as we were getting on a roll and as we were working towards our conversation, and we're getting into a good groove, aren't we?
Absolutely, yeah.
So, all right. So we'll see everybody next week.
Questions in the comments, everybody, Kat and Sue Ann and everybody. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Michelle.
All right. I'm going to end. Have a good night. We'll see you next Monday.